at
Welcome back to Redskins Relaunch, DMVSTREAM.COM, Facebook Live. I'm your host, Colvin Underwood, filling in for Winston Hilton. Appreciate that, Winston. Let me come in and sit down and talk about some pure ball. As we keep diving into the burgundy and gold, they just announced the preseason schedule, 4 games, you know the deal. A lot of AFC North flavor to the preseason schedule. Starts week 1 at the Cleveland Browns. So the ones get to play against ones from Cleveland. So you'll get to see Baker Mayfield and OBJ and a cast of thousands up there in Cleveland, one of the teams that has truly won the offseason, so to speak, so far. And just to see those guys against Washington will be a lot of fun. That'll be at the Dog Pound. That's August the 8th. Then it's the first home preseason game against Jay Gruden's old team, the Cincinnati Bengals. Week 3 finds Washington in the ATL to take on the Falcons. And finally, week 4, August the 29th, Skins Ravens at FedEx. So, I don't know, preseason's preseason. It isn't really, the teams are interesting, but it's the preseason. It's all about evaluating your talent, and they'll be tested. They'll get a lot of good looks. The young kids will get a lot of time to play, and we'll see how it shakes out. But once the preseason opponents come out, that should get you kind of revved up. Season's right around the corner. Before you know it, after the draft happens, it'll be OTAs, and the kids will come in and learn, and the veterans will come in, and then you'll blink, and then it's training camp down in Richmond, and we'll get this season started in September. So pretty exciting time, but we just don't know what to expect with Washington. We just don't know what to expect. We just don't know what they are or how it's going to turn out. We'll have some folks coming back from injury. Was Richardson or Geis, and we'll see how the defense holds up, because the defense looks like it's still going to be the strength of the team. I think the biggest question marks are going to be on offense, and once the draft takes place, we'll kind of see what direction this team is going to go in. This draft is going to shape the direction of the team. Are they going to be able to find enough offense in the draft? Are they going to be able to fill enough holes in the draft? Are they going to be able to draft wisely? What are they going to do with the 15th pick? All of that plays into what's going to happen. I think the mocks are going to change between now and the time of the draft. I say you're going to see more speculation of Washington moving up and maybe trying to get a Kyler Murray, moving up trying to get Dwayne Haskins, moving up maybe trying to get Drew Lock. Washington is in a very interesting position. I think they would do great by sitting tight at 15 and getting the best player on the board. I don't want to see them reach and get an offensive player that's not going to help them. If they're going to reach, you either get a quarterback. If you're going to reach up, and you're going to use draft capital, get the quarterback that you want, the young quarterback that you want, or get the defensive player that you want. If you want to get one of those crazy pass rushers, edge rushers, get them. If there's somebody that you like over somebody else, get them. If there's a DB you like, get them. It's going to be there. Draft is deep in defensive backs and safeties, deep on the defensive line and edge rushers. That's the strength of the draft this year. So you might be able to find what you're looking for depth in round 2. You've got 2 picks in round 3, draft capital. If you want to move up into the second round and get somebody, might not be a bad move. But if they just sat tight for the first 4 picks, which is their 1, the 2, and the 2 3s, I think they'll be great. I think they'll actually be able to find what they're looking for and move forward. Hard to say, but we'll see. In other football news, like a transition, the AFF folded. The AAF folded. Gone. a minor league football league is something that is needed. I always thought this, and I will always say this, and I know it's hard to have minor league football because football is a collision sport, but there is no depth for the National Football League. How do players develop in the National Football League? You don't really develop in the National Football League.
You only got the practice squad.
Yeah, you got the practice squad, and the practice squad is a scout team during the season.
Yeah.
So they're running the opposition's offensive, defense, whatever that may be, and that's the reps that they're getting.
Someone else's playbook.
Somebody else's playbook. And of course, the only time they're really going to get in or get a chance is you'd have to probably lose your starter and lose your backup at a certain position to get that practice squad guy in there. But the deal was, Ryan, is that one of the things that the AAF wanted, they wanted the NFL to let their practice players participate in the league. One reason is because they're better players than the players they had in the league. Okay, these are the guys that the NFL stashes, so to speak, developmental guys, but they need reps, and so the AAF was like, we'll give them the reps that they need. But the NFL was very leery about letting their players participate in the league, of course, because of injuries. You don't want to take some guy that you're high on, let him play in the AAF, and get hurt. That defeats the purpose. If he gets hurt on your dime in your time, that's different. So the NFL was like, no, we don't want to do that. And then their major investor, that was a sticking point for him. He put money into the league to keep the league going, and it went bad, and went bad quickly. But guess what happened? And you're starting to see this, and Washington signed a guy. NFL teams are signing guys from the AAF. They're signing guys. Now, they didn't want anything to do with the AAF, but when push came to shove and there were players out there, they sure were scouting them, weren't they? And they sure were looking at them, weren't they? Because several teams have signed players from the league. So the NFL has their cake and eats it too. They have their cake and eat it too. They don't want to participate in the league. They sure as heck don't want to put any money into the league, but they want the benefits of having the better players in the league sign with their teams. So the AAF is gone. Next year is supposed to be the XFL comes back. A team in Washington, D.C. that's going to actually play at Audi Field. They already have head coach and general manager is Pep Hamilton. And if you know anything about Pep Hamilton, he has some ties to the area. Played his collegiate career at Howard University. Was a very prolific passer there. And then kind of learned the trade and moved up to become offensive coordinator and worked with Andrew Luck in Indianapolis and Jim Harbaugh and on and on and on. So he's a very bright offensive mind, and he's going to run the show here in Washington for the XFL team that's coming. So minor league football, I think it's a necessity. I think one thing about professional football is that the young players don't get enough reps, but how do you weigh reps against injuries? It's pretty tough. And a lot of people say, well, maybe the interest isn't there. Maybe people aren't interested in spring football. If the product's good, I think people will be interested in it. I think you have to put it in towns that don't have professional football. You know the usual suspects: Memphis, San Antonio, Salt Lake. Now the San Diego doesn't have a team. Maybe you'll see a team pop up in St. Louis, places like that. Maybe Norfolk, because Norfolk, they have a pretty good number when it comes to watching the NFL. You have to put it in cities like that. You have to promote it. You need some star power. You need some Manziels. They did reach out to Tebow, and Tebow didn't want to do it. He wanted to play baseball. And then Kaepernick supposedly wanted $20-some-odd million. Good thing they didn't pay him that. They didn't have the money to pay him. Yeah. But I actually think you have to have name recognition. You got to have, look, it's stars. And they would be, the XFL would be really smart to zero in on quarterbacks and name people where they have played in the NFL previously or, had great college careers to get them and have a partnership with the NFL. You got to have a partnership with the NFL to make it happen because guess what? In the long run, it's going to benefit the NFL because the NFL needs more players. So, something to think about. AFF shuts down. Very interesting. I didn't watch a lot of the AFF games, AAF games. That doesn't mean I didn't like, minor league football, but it just meant that it just didn't grab me. But enough said about that. Let's transition to some other things. One thing I want to talk about real quick. Wizards season ended on Tuesday with a loss to the Boston Celtics. Very disappointing year for the Wizards. And it started with, John Wall going down, his injury, and things just got worse from that. But the Wizards did finally let Ernie Grunfeld go after 16 years. They let Ernie Grunfeld go. And so now the question becomes, what's going to happen to the Wizards? What are they going to do? What is direction? Wall is out. Some people say he might be able to make it back next year. I'm saying like this. If I'm the Wizards, I don't want to see Wall next year. There's no reason for him to come back next year. Give him the year off. Let him rehabilitate, get stronger. Aim for the 2021 season where he's ready to go and then he can try to play at a high level. He's going to come off an Achilles injury, bone spurs. Who knows what he's going to be like. But you got to love his swag. In the post-game interview yesterday, somebody asked him what he thought if the Wizards would draft a point guard. He says that he doesn't have a problem with the team drafting a point guard, that the team has to do what they have to do, and then when he gets back, that guy is going to be a great backup for him. I mean, John Wall, that's just John Wall. And so a lot of people like that swagger about Wall and that he's going to be able to come back. And I wouldn't put it past him, Ryan. He has that kind of determination to come back. But this team is going to be, I don't know what do you think they're going to be like next year? They got Beal. They got Troy Brown. Sato's restricted.
Yeah.
Thomas Bryant's restricted.
Jabari.
They can get Jabari to come back on a $20 million deal. He could come back if the team picks up that option. They ain't going to pick up that option.
Nah.
Bobby Portis is unrestricted. Where do you go? And you don't have a lot of cap room because John Wall's max money deal kicks in as well. Mm-hmm. They are in trouble. And you have to find a GM. So I'm very interested to see the direction of the team. What does the team want to do? Do they want to blow it up, bite the bullet, do what the Nets did, which is have 3 really bad years, but get draft capital and get better? Now they're a playoff team. Made a couple of deals, got D'Angelo Russell. He had an all-star season. The young players that they picked are playing at a pretty high level. They have a really good young coach, and they have a good GM, a solid GM, and they're a team that's ascending. Are the Wizards ascending?
Descending.
They are descending. So we talk about the draft in the NFL and how important it is. Washington is definitely going to be in the lottery. They have the 6th worst record in the league. And at 6, if it stays that way, if they're lucky enough to get in the top 3, man, they could get in the top 3. That's going to help them. But it's only going to help them a little bit. Because, again, they don't have a lot in the cupboard. There's not a lot there. You don't have a lot of money to spend. So the GM's got to come in and piece together the team. So I ask you this, Ryan. There are 3 openings for GMs in the league. There's New Orleans. There's the Lakers. Not GM because Pelinka's the GM, but somebody to run, supposedly to be the basketball operation guy in LA. And then you have Washington, who needs a GM, but has a coach in place in Scott Brooks. And guess what? Scott Brooks got 2 more years at $7 million per. So usually, if you're going to bring in the GM's going to want to bring his guy in. Again, another layer to the Wizards, right? What are they going to do? Interesting. I think the NBA, though, is going to own the offseason regardless, because with Magic Johnson stepping down to LA, that leaves a big void for the Lakers. The Lakers have all this money and LeBron. What's going to happen? What's going to happen with Boston in Kyrie? What's going to happen with KD in Golden State? And we're not even talking about the playoffs. Can Golden State be a 3-time champion? Can they go for the three-peat? Again, the NBA is going to rule the offseason. Now, the NFL has had a heck of an offseason with the trades, with AB moving, with Le'Veon moving, with OBJ getting traded, the excitement that Kyler Murray's going to give. So there's
Foles.
Foles moving on. So the NFL has had a heck of an offseason in a draft that's very interesting, that's going to have some changes at the top. So the NFL is solid off a really good season. The ratings kind of bounce back, and New England wins. So the NFL is the NFL, but the NBA has the best storylines still. And we're not even talking about who's going to get Zion. Who's going to get Zion? Will it be the Knicks?
It's funny, he didn't announce, but his teammate did.
Yeah, R.J. Barrett said he was coming out.
Mm-hmm.
But Trey Jones, who was the point guard, stayed in school.
Yeah.
Good news for, just real quick pivot, good news for the University of Maryland and Jalen Smith staying. That's great. Huge. And I thought that if Jalen Smith went to the NBA camp, that the underclassmen, which is awesome. The NBA is a little bit more forward thinking. I know everybody doesn't like the one and dones and the age restrictions and stuff. So the NBA is really trying to shepherd things. They're really trying to watch out for people. But they are allowing the kids to at least have an opportunity to work out and see what they're worth. What they're worth. Do they have enough to get into the first round, second round? What's their draft grade going to be? And they go through their combine. And so I think if Smith goes to that combine, he has all the measurables. You saw some of the skill sets that he had with Maryland, and you're just kind of like, ooh, man. But for Mark Turgeon, has to be a win to get him to come back with another loaded freshman class coming in, and your guys got a great deal of experience this year. Caught a tough break against LSU in the tournament, could have easily won that game. That would have really sent them on an ascension as well. But you got to like the future for the University of Maryland basketball now that he's coming back. So Jalen Smith comes back, Sticks comes back. People are happy about that. And you kind of put that to the side, and just going to be a pretty good storyline for the Terps. And we touched on UVA win the national championship, and what a great
redemption
comeback
story.
And redemption story for those guys at UVA. And I liked how UVA played. I didn't have a problem with that. I like defense. And you saw an emergence of DeAndre Hunter. How clutch was he? He hits the three to pretty much send the game into overtime, and he played big. And you can say, and a lot of people say this, he plays last year, they don't lose to UMBC.
Yeah.
But he didn't.
So they lost.
It's that simple, right? Yeah, it's not, it's not brain surgery or anything. You showed how good the guy was. He's a great player, and somebody who's on that lottery list too, if he says he wants to come out. And he did a great job on Jarrett Culver. And Jarrett Culver was a monster for Texas Tech. So UVA, just kudos to them. Tony Bennett is a class individual. You don't hear anything bad about him. You don't hear anything bad about the program. He does it right. He plugs in his guys. He goes out and gets hard-working guys that play the system that he's going to put in there. He's not going to get any one-and-dones. He's not. His guys are going to probably stick around for 4 years. You'll have a DeAndre Hunter. You'll have one guy probably who's good enough, or was it Brogdon? I mean, Brogdon stayed 4 years.
He stayed 4.
He stayed 4.
He stayed all 4.
Right. So that's the kind of guy that he wants to get. And he proves that you don't need to have a bunch of all-stars or
Justin
ones and
Anderson?
dones.
He's a Virginia boy, right?
Yeah, Justin Anderson, yes. Yes, because Justin Anderson was going to go to Maryland. Ended up going to UVA, had a nice career. He came out early, though.
Yeah.
He came out early.
Yeah.
But it's few and far between.
Yeah.
And the system that he plays allows him to have success in the ACC, allows him to have success in the tournament. Interesting to see. And they're the favorites next year. They're the betting favorites next year to win the title again.
Them and Michigan State.
Yeah. Interesting. UVA. Really want to, real quick, Virginia Tech suffered a loss when they lost. Coach Buzz Williams left Virginia Tech and went to Texas A&M. You go, well, why would you go to Texas A&M? He's from Texas. Did his undergraduate work at Texas A&M. Has an affinity for the program and the people and everything about Texas. And he did 5 years at Virginia Tech. I didn't know that. 5 years at Virginia Tech.
Really?
Yeah, he did 5 years at Virginia Tech after he left Marquette. But there was one thing about Buzz Williams that I knew. Buzz Williams won at Marquette. He got players to come to Marquette, Wisconsin, up there in all the snow and all that. And those teams that he had at Marquette were really good. So when he decided to go to Virginia Tech, which surprised everybody, I was surprised as well. I didn't know Tech had that kind of basketball allure. He won in Blacksburg. If you can win in Blacksburg playing basketball, you can coach. And he can coach. And he'll be very successful at A&M. And it's just a tough break for Virginia Tech because the basketball program was definitely down before he got there, and they were on the ascension as well. One play away from beating Duke and maybe making it to the Final Four. And so now he leaves. They get the coach from Wofford to come in. Coach Young comes in from Wofford, who's been very, very successful at a mid-major program. Nobody wanted to play Wofford. Nobody ever wanted to schedule them. So, and he has Virginia ties. He's a Virginia guy from the state of Virginia, Virginia native. And so it's going to take him probably a year to kind of get things going, but they got another great coach. You know, Tech gets good coaches, all right? He's another good coach. It'll take them a while, and I know a lot of people at Virginia Tech were kind of disappointed that Coach Buzz left, and we'll just see how they bounce back as well. Let's put a bow on this thing real quick. Let's talk about the Nats. Nats in Philadelphia taking on the Phillies. It's a knockdown, drag-out. Some really quick things about the Nats, and I'm not going to mention the guy
currently
that
up
plays.
7-0.
Huh?
Nats up 7-0.
Nats up 7-0. So this is what we see about the Nationals. What I like about the Nationals, Soto, Robles, Turner. Turner's hurt right now. Rendon's knocking the stuffing out of the ball. They're going to be all right offensively. You would like to have that big bat, that number 3 that plays for the Phillies provided, but they're going to have enough offense. And if you saw that home run, it was Soto that hit that home run against Philadelphia. He crushed it.
Oh my
he put that bad boy in the second deck. And just him and Robles are just two really good young players. So while people still might be upset that Bryce left, I say be patient. If you're a Nationals fan, be patient. Be patient. It might be okay. It might be okay. Season's a long season. Nats need to win their division games, beat the teams they're supposed to beat, play the teams tough in the AL and the NL that are on the same level as them, and they'll probably be okay. One thing that has me concerned, though, I don't like the starting pitching as far as giving up these home runs. Strasburg gives up home runs. Scherzer always gives up home runs. I know he's a power pitcher. Power pitchers give up home runs. Sanchez give up. The guy to keep the ball, starters keep the ball in the field, okay? Because when you start giving up home runs and you got to get to that bullpen, remember Craig Kimball's still out there. And if the Nats are still having problems in the bullpen, they better pony up the money and get him before somebody else gets him. You don't want the Phillies to, you don't want the Phillies to get him. You don't want Atlanta to get him. You don't want anybody in the NL to get him. You need to get him. Food for thought. Just something to think about. Just something to think about. Mystic season's coming up. WNBA draft was tonight. I don't know who they selected. Ryan, can you tell me who they selected real quick?
I can figure it out.
Okay, they have the 10th pick. You know, it's very important. While we talk about the Mystics, let's talk about the Caps real quick to start Stanley Cup, defensive Stanley Cup title against Carolina Hurricanes.
Kiara Leslie, NC State.
Never heard of her. Never heard of her. I'm sure she can ball, though. She went to NC State program on the rise down there in the ACC. They play good ball down there. Talk about the Caps. Caps take on Carolina. It's going to be a great first-round series. I know a lot of people are like, hey, they beat them 4 straight in the regular season, but it's the playoffs. And anything can happen in the playoffs. And Carolina has speed, and they put a lot of pucks on goal. So Hope's going to have to be top-notch. They're going to miss Kempney not playing. Kempney's out with a torn hamstring. They're going to miss him. So the defense is going to have to come up big. Hope's going to have to come up big. You think that our offense is going to do what it does, and Ovechkin is just going to, play at that high level. The power play is the Caps' strength, but they're healthy, and the experience from last year has to be a factor for Washington. They know what it takes to get there. I think this team has played with a quiet confidence all year. They were able to just kind of make it through the regular season. They won the division. They made it through the regular season. I think they're playing with a lot of confidence, but do not be surprised if the first series goes 7 games.
Per usual.
Per usual. It's Washington Capitals hockey in the playoffs, y'all. You know it's not going to be easy. What did Tina Turner say when she did Proud Mary? She said, "We don't like things nice and easy. We like it hard and rough." And that's what the Washington Capitals like. If it's not, a nail biter, if it's not at least 2 overtime games in the first series against Carolina, I would be surprised. I would be surprised if the first game at Capital One wasn't an overtime game. A typical one, those typical 4-3s, 3-2, won't be 2-1 because both teams can put the puck in the net. But I could definitely see a 4-4 game going in overtime. I can definitely see a 5-5 game going in overtime. That's what they do. But the Eastern Conference is going to be wide open. You have to get Tampa Bay's actually kind of putting it on Columbus right now. I think Tampa Bay has to be the favorites because they're playing with such momentum. They had the best record in the league, most points, most wins. I think last year them not winning has given them the drive.
Chip on the shoulder.
Yeah, big time chip on the shoulder that they want to prove to everybody that they're the best team in the East. Toronto with the young guns, Barry Trotz and those Islanders who were much, much improved and the difference that he made to the team. And last but not least, the Pittsburgh Penguins.
think
so
they're
as long
playing
as
right
Malkin
now as well.
and Crosby are got a breath, you know Pittsburgh's going to be in the mix. It's going to be a great Stanley Cup playoffs. It's awesome. I'm a huge sports fan as it is, but I love hockey. Playoff hockey is the best, and there'll be a game on every night in the first round, you know, for East Coast to the West Coast and the Western Conference as well. And it's just the most exciting playoff that's out there. NBA playoffs start. I think, you know, how good is the East going to be? You know, can Boston get there? Is Philly the team to beat? What about Milwaukee and Giannis? I mean, there's a lot of storylines out there. Like I said, when we first started Redskins Relaunch, this is a great time for sports, not only in the DMV, but all over. And it was great talking to you about it tonight. Thank you for watching Redskins Relaunch. Had a great time every Wednesday. You can join Winston Hilton as he talks about the latest with the Burgundy and Gold and all the sports that's out there. DMVSTREAM.COM, Facebook Live. Thanks to my man Ryan on the ones and twos.
Yes, sir.
This is how we, always a pleasure, my friend, with you as well. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Colvin Underwood. Take it easy, and we'll see you next Wednesday on Redskins Relaunch, DMVSTREAM.COM, Facebook Live.